welcome to the Natural Nation Network here on Synergy Radio. This is Oscar Hines. Good morning, Alexis. How are you?
Good morning, Oscar. I'm doing great today. Wellbeing is here with us, so absolutely good.
It's always fun to have Wellbeing Simplified in the house, and we learn so much, but we're always graced by the wonderful presence and the energy that you ladies bring. So welcome, Tracy and Heather.
Thank you. We love being here.
It's coffee. No. Like coffee, healthy.
Yes,
organic,
low acid.
Absolutely, a little organic caffeine never hurt anyone. So
is it coffee or water in here, or is it something else?
It's water.
Well, I had vodka.
I don't know.
Wow. Well, since we're talking about health, we better clean this conversation up here. My goodness. So, ladies, welcome back. It is a pleasure to have you all back in with us. And in the course of our conversation over the last several months, we have delved into some really profound but fundamental principles towards health. And what I love about what you all do is you really live up to the name, Wellbeing Simplified. It's not complicated.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. Right. Some people do make it complicated, but we try not to.
Yes. Well, and some people just like to use those big, humongous words to scare the bejeebers out of you, put a white coat on. And
right.
Right. We don't want that.
No, none of that. No white coats, no big words.
Yeah, we want people to take control of their own health. You don't need to, look inward. Our bodies are amazing. They are built to heal. And if we just give them what they need, take away the blocks to healing and give them what they need, it's amazing what will happen.
Yes, I absolutely concur. So we were talking over the course of the last several months about the 3 R's.
Right.
And now we're going to go into
phase 2.
Like
what would that be?
I saw R2D2.
You did R cubed last time, so this is R cubed squared?
Yes.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
So our 3 R's, right? Yes. 3 R's, phase 2.
I love it. So now when we delve into this we're taking this R to the next level. What does that entail? What does that incorporate?
Well, it's still our 3 R's. So release, rejuvenate, and reinvent in that order. Remember, we can't rejuvenate and bring in the good stuff and then henceforth reinvent ourselves until we've released the toxins, be they emotional or physical, that no longer serve us. So we're going to start again with release. We had hydration and breath work in our first phase 1. Right. And Tracy's going to talk about something that honestly is very near and dear to me, because it's, with all transparency, been something I've struggled with in the past and has brought me really closer to my own more holistic journey. This is one of my things. And it is
sleep. Sleep.
Oh, wow.
So, and we don't think of sleep as being a release, but it is. It is so important. And I want to preface anything I say right now with, I don't want this to be a stressor for people. We want to give people solutions, because it is scary when you look at all the data around what happens if you don't sleep. Of course, we all know that, a poor night's sleep, you're not thinking as clearly, you're not moving as quickly, you feel off, you can be grouchy. I can be grouchy. I don't know about you guys, but I can be really grouchy if I don't get enough sleep, and it's danger to the road, people on the road, that kind of thing. But everything that we talk about is going to be a solution, and our bodies, like I said earlier, our bodies have an amazing ability to heal. So don't think, oh my goodness, I've had insomnia all my life, I'm destined to have Alzheimer's. That's not true. Our bodies, you can always reverse that process. So think about it as every day is a fresh start, and neither of us are perfect. I've had insomnia issues too at different times in my life, but I have used a lot of the techniques that we'll talk about today to get myself back on track.
Awesome. Well, I'll be taking notes, because from time to time I've been known to say stuff like sleep is for wimps.
No, too. And I say the same thing. Like, I actually heard that sleep is for broke people, so you can't sleep like all the full 8 hours, because you have to get up and you have to hustle and you got to grind and you got to go. So like the average sleep for me is probably about 4 to 5 on a good night, 5.
We're gonna work on
So
that.
we need to work on that. Absolutely. Like,
In that case, I won't even tell you.
so how do you balance that?
Wow. Well,
I think it truly is a syndrome of high performing type A successful people. And I think that there is that misnomer roaming around that if we're not performing, like sleep is antithetical to performing, that we're not moving forward and succeeding, and quite the opposite.
Oh, that's so it.
Sleep is a front loading for performance. It's releasing. Tracy's going to talk about how it releases and your brain regenerates. I mean, we need our brain to be successful, to be those wonderful type A people that are changing the world.
Right.
And we've got to get the toxins out, and that's what's happening when we sleep.
absolutely.
Is that release.
Absolutely. There are several things happening, and one of them is through what's called the glymphatic system. And it's just recently, in the last few years, been discovered it's actually the detox system of the brain.
Oh.
And during the day, through metabolic processes, we build up toxins in the brain. And you have to get to about hour 6 of sleep for the brain cells, literally, they start to separate. And fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, goes through those cells and washes away the amyloid plaque that builds up. And the amyloid plaque is what's linked to Alzheimer's disease. And it builds up in the brain cells and around the tissue of the brain and destroys the surrounding cells. So if we can get sleep, our bodies have proper sleep over 6 hours, really 7 to 9. I know you've heard this.
Right.
7 to 9, we can really wash our brains clean. So it's a really, really wonderful way to prevent future memory loss, brain dysfunction, or underfunctioning.
Wow, that's fascinating. You just made a very compelling case for why I should get more sleep.
Yeah.
So this amyloid plaque that builds up and the cerebral fluid that's coming from the spine, is that fluid sort of supplemented by like omega-3s and those essential oils? Is that part of it?
It's super important for brain health. And the brain is, what, 80% fat?
Well, yeah,
It's
it's fat. It's fat and
80%,
water.
yeah, fat water,
We're
yeah.
gonna jump
Yeah.
a couple sessions.
We're all a bunch of
Right.
Yeah, we're
fatheads.
fat. Not airheads, I
Not
guess.
airheads.
Not
We're
airheads,
fatheads.
just fatheads.
Yeah, so it's super important to have that healthy fluid as well that's going to go around the brain. And we have what's called the blood-brain barrier that surrounds our brain, which is literally connected through things like the vagus nerve to the health of the intestines. And we can get into that later. But if you don't have a healthy gut, you're not going to have a healthy brain. If you have inflammation in the butt and the
Hey, look, some people do have butt for brains, so that's okay.
Party started.
Okay, bloopers take 2. No.
in the gut, if you have inflammation in the gut,
I love it.
then you're more than likely to have brain inflammation, which leads to things like insomnia, but also depression and anxiety. And insomnia is a huge part of depression. And a lot of times when people resolve their insomnia issues, the depression goes away. Think about how crummy you feel after 4 hours of sleep. And a lot of people, continually have low levels of sleep, so they don't even know the difference.
So the reason why that gut health is so important and connected to insomnia, what Tracy was saying, is that 90 to 95% of our neurotransmitter activity and formation starts in the gut, in that microbiome. And so if we know that serotonin, our feel-good neurotransmitter, is a precursor and translates into melatonin, our sleep hormone, it would behoove us to take really good care of our gut, where those hormones are being formed. And so we'll get into that as we get more into the Wellbeing Simplified, but that gut health, we've talked about the fact that we have really 3 brains in our body. We've got our gut, we've got our heart, and we've got our cranial brain. So it's not just about taking care of this brain when it comes to sleep.
Yeah, the body is connected, and we have to treat it that way. You cannot isolate things. You've got to treat the body as a whole, and you're only as strong as your weakest link.
So would you say that, I guess, the foods that come with the Dirty Dozen or the Clean 15, those are the ones that help to decrease the inflammation in the stomach in order for us to even get the proper sleep. All that goes back to nutrition, what you're eating inside.
Absolutely. That is a big part of it. Another big part of it is sugar.
Okay.
Sugar, if we get an imbalance in our gut, typically we end up having too much yeast or candida in the gut. We eat sugar, it feeds the yeast in the gut, which kills the good bacteria out, and it creates this cycle because that yeast or candida in the gut tells the brain to crave sugar. And so you're craving sugar, you're feeding the bad guys. The bad guys are growing and pushing all the good guys out of their space. So
even antibiotics, antibiotics are a wonderful medicine marvel. However, if we've taken copious amounts over the years of our life, our microbiome has been depleted of that good bacteria. And remember, we talked about the fact that we are more at a cellular genetic kind of blueprint, more bacteria than we are human cells.
10 times.
Yeah.
10 times.
Wow.
So we want to feed that good bacteria. It's really who we are. And so probiotics, if we've taken a lot of antibiotics, up that probiotic intake, fermented foods,
Right.
Really being mindful of the dirty dozen and the clean 15, which we referred to during the nutrition segment.
Right.
Absolutely.
So with the probiotics, I know that that's one key thing now that they talk about a lot, whether it's eating more yogurt, more fiber, is eating it more natural state, or taking pills, or should we not at all and just use the natural antibiotics that we already have, probiotics that we already built inside?
Both and. Both and. So yogurt, even though it's been touted as this wonderful food for your gut, most yogurts don't even have living bacteria in them anymore.
Okay, because I remember Dr. Oz also saying something about live active cultures. But we'll get into that.
And they're
let's get into that. I just
filled
want to
with
make sure that. Yeah.
So if you just took like some jelly, some kind of jam, and put it at the bottom of a yogurt culture, that's what the common yogurt is.
Yes.
You're getting more sugar than you are actually.
And then you're feeding the bad
bacteria.
guys.
Yeah,
And then you're feeding the bad
Hi.
guys. You might as well drink a
so
Coke.
anti.
I know, but
Not productive.
there are other
Wow.
really good, like kimchi is one. What do you use for?
Even sauerkraut, some
Yeah.
people, or kombucha. Or
Kombucha is one of my favorite. You can get it in
Fermented
the
foods.
grocery store. You can get it at Costco. And it's just a liquid fermented drink that usually has very little sugar in it. Don't get the ones that have a lot of sugar in it.
Yes.
In them, it's the same problem. But
Absolutely, absolutely. So, folks, you are listening to the Natural Nation Network here on Synergy Radio. We are talking to Wellbeing Simplified. Find out more at wellbeingsimplified.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about how we actually get this well and important needed sleep.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, we have lots of tools.
Yes, we have tools, not toys. Tools. We work with tools. We play with toys. We got it straight now. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. Don't go anywhere. And we are back. You are listeing to the Natural Nation Network here on Synergy Radio, 1480 AM, 94.9 FM, 1540 AM, and 101.7 FM. We are on the air everywhere, and this is the kind of information we want to share. God, did I rhyme all three of those times?
Yeah.
That good? Wow. So, folks, we are speaking with Wellbeing Simplified, and this has been a fascinating conversation so far. Dr. Tracy, you've just made one of the most compelling arguments I've ever heard why I need to get more sleep, and I can't say sleep is for wimps anymore.
that's right.
Right.
Or for broke
Or
people.
for broke people.
I have a dear friend who says, I'll sleep when I die.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm calling her out on this, but
Mike says that too.
Oh, he does?
My husband said that when we first started dating many years ago.
And you were like, you have no idea.
Yeah, right.
You will die sooner.
I know.
Right?
Right. God, now I feel
Right
bad.
now I feel like I gotta sleep.
I
but
know.
I need some
I
money
was up
too. I
at
don't
5
know.
a.m. this morning
Yeah.
working on reports and stuff.
Right.
So,
Well, there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with waking up at 5. You just need to go to bed at 9.
Oh, bummer. That part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
not so
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So the brain does other things while it's sleeping that are really important. And one is that the brain sorts through and gets rid of information that we've been exposed to during the day. So it's important to do that because we have a limited amount of things that we can process. So if we are exposed to a lot of stuff the brain like literally sorts through it and throws in the trash. Think about it like a computer. You've got a trash can. Your brain's saying, "Don't need this. I don't need the whatever memory of John Smith from 4th grade that came up. That's not important." In the trash. Yes. And it also solidifies memories. That's why it's very helpful to study right before you go to bed, or take a nap right after you're trying to learn something new. That's when the brain solidies
to the
those
long-term
memories.
memory. Wow.
Yeah, so you can actually learn versus just memorizing things.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was it's a really important process. Dreaming also, I mean, we don't need to get into the whole spiritual thing about it, but I think that's an important part too of it's shutting down the busy brain so that your body can connect and be open to maybe, ideas, thoughts. Have you ever woken up and gone, that's the next chapter in my book, or
absolutely.
whatever. I mean, that's because you're able to get to that space where the junk is pushed aside and we can be open to those kinds of connections.
So you are more productive if you sleep more.
You sleep more.
Absolutely.
I just think too that there's so many different things or different ways for you to track how much sleep you're getting. I know now I wear my Fitbit, and so at first I didn't really know how much sleep I was getting, or even waking up in the middle of the night. And so when you get up and you look at that, you're able to see how many times you've been in and out of sleep all night, and that makes a big difference.
Well, and one of the things to think about with that is be careful not to let it stress you out.
Yeah.
One of the things I realized, and Heather will get into this because she's got all these great tips about what's called sleep hygiene, is I've got an alarm or clock, that has a big shiny.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, so I can see what time it is, and every time I wake up, I look at it, and I'm like, and then I start stressing out and worrying about it. But a non-electronic trick that you can do to find out how long it takes you to actually fall asleep, because that's important. A lot of us think, it took me 2 hours to fall asleep, but it really only took 10 minutes. It just felt like 2 hours. Is to lay down on your bed and hold something that won't break when it falls, but it'll wake you up. So kind of stick your hand off the edge of the bed and hold it like this. So when you fall asleep, your muscles relax and you drop it. So pay attention to when you lay down, and then hold your arm out. And when you fall asleep, you'll drop whatever it is and look at the clock, because that'll wake you up. When you drop it, look at the clock, and you'll be able to tell how many minutes it takes you to fall asleep. And that's kind of a good gauge. Do I need to do some more of these exercises to help me fall asleep earlier? Or, okay, I'm getting in bed at 9 or 10, but I'm not falling asleep till 11:30. So maybe I need to push back my getting in bed time in conjunction with some other things. So it's just kind of a little trick. Another thing that I want to talk about, I think is really, really important before we get to the sleep hygiene, is sleep apnea. About 80% of the people that have sleep apnea, mild to moderate sleep apnea, are not diagnosed with it. And the problem with sleep apnea is you're stopping breathing for a short period of time, sometimes up to 100 times in an hour, stopping breathing. And when that happens, you're blocking oxygen to your brain and other vital organs. Can you imagine how that interrupts your sleep? And how you're walking around in this kind of oxygen-deprived stage all the time. In fact, is starting to show up more and more with children. Wow. About 25% of the children with ADHD have sleep apnea. And I get it. When I don't have enough sleep, I can't focus and concentrate. So you can imagine these kids, they don't know that they're tired. They don't know they're not sleeping. But they are sleep deprived, oxygen deprived, and it's creating focus and concentration issues. So it's something definitely to look at. There are tests you can do. Don't think, I don't want to do it because I don't want to wear a CPAP, one of those masks, because there are other options. There are oral devices you can use. There are breathing exercises you can do. But the first step is to diagnose it, to go to a sleep specialist and find out if you have sleep apnea. If somebody's saying you're waking up, you're gurgling, you're snoring, those are all, symptoms of possible sleep apnea. Or just being tired all the time or depressed all the time.
Yes. Now, when you wake up in the middle of the night, and oftentimes, say you have to use the bathroom, and then you have trouble going back to sleep, would these techniques work in those instances as well?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So the way that I look at sleep hygiene is kind of a proactive, cumulative, long-term piece where we daily work on it. And we daily work on reprogramming and rewiring our brain and our nervous system through the 3 R's, through proper hydration, through a daily routine and practice of breath work and meditation, through proper nutrition where we're not front loading on caffeine and sugar. All of the 3 R's we've covered through release, rejuvenate, and reinvent in our previous segments. And you need to have in your hip pocket some techniques to use in those instances when you wake up and the busy brain starts, you've had to use the restroom, and you can't seem to lull yourself back to sleep. And so two of my favorite go-tos for that in particular, and then we'll kind of go back to what we can front load on in terms of just kind of reprogramming our sleep hygiene so that sleep's easier overall. But one of my favorite 2 techniques are the breath work that we talked about in segment 2, which is that deep diaphragmatic abdominal belly breathing, because we're going to engage that vagus nerve when we do that 4-7-8 breathing. When we take the air in through the nose, we engage the belly with the air, we activate that vagus nerve, which goes from the gut and speaks to our brain and tells the brain time for sleep. And then we go very slowly, most importantly, and long out through the mouth where the belly deflates. And you know that idea, the age-old counting sheep, there was something to it. You know, that's a kind of a meditative exercise.
I asked that, right. Okay.
And so let's up our ante and do something a little more research-based and do a meditative counting, but do some belly breathing. In that same vein, if we're going to think kind of something meditative and something we can do to connect our mind and body in that at 3 a.m. hour, is something called, and we're going to teach this in another segment, so you're going to have to tune back in, autogenic training, which I love. And basically, in a nutshell, it's a suggestion that we send to our body. My legs and arms are heavy and warm. My legs and arms are heavy and warm. My legs and arms are heavy and warm, and you will fall back to sleep. One of the oldest self-transforming exercises are autogenic training. Tons of research behind it. So those are my 2 go-tos in the moment of crisis at 3 a.m. It's belly breathing and autogenic training.
Wow, that's powerful.
Front load on your sleep hygiene, though. What can we do? We can turn off the electronics before a couple hour before we get in the bed. Now, that is so hard, including me. I am so guilty. So if you're, come on, tools. Yeah. I'll be back. So if you
The magic of television.
difficulty, I feel like, what is it, Sesame Street, or like down here. Where
Show and tell.
That's right.
My blue light blockers. These are the sexiest tools you can have in the bedroom, people. Not.
Those are better than mine.
These are
you can get them like on Amazon for $8.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can get these. You can buy the expensive blue light blockers, or you can go to Amazon and just do a search on Amazon for blue light blockers. Wear these around the house a couple hours before bedtime. I want you to be thinking about sleep 2 hours before bedtime.
2 hours before bedtime.
And the reason.
So what are those for? Yeah, I was going to ask.
These are going to block the blue light that comes out of our electronics. Many of us will sit in bed on our iPad, on our computers, on our phones, or even watching television. Television emits the blue light as well, which stimulates the brain. Okay. It's like a caffeine light. And so these are going to block the blue light. So it's going to help. I literally can put these on and feel almost my forehead relax. I can feel my brain relaxing. The iPhones now and some of the Androids have night shift. Put that on. Put it on your computers. There's free downloads on the computer where 2 hours, or I would say actually at dusk, have the phone go into a warmer light mode. Just look in your settings. It's there. Yeah. Have your computer download a free software. Google it. Blue light blocking software.
Iris, I think, is one of the.
Iris? Okay, I think that's what we have at home. Anyway, those are things that you can do to just stimulate and signal to the mind and the body that it's time for sleep. Another thing that I do is I run essential oils. I stole this from my 12-year-old daughter's room. Both my kids had just one of these. I think this was $9. It's a little diffuser, and I run essential organic lavender through it, and I start it a couple hours before bedtime and close the doors. And so when you walk into the bed, the pillows smell like lavender, and lavender is a naturally calming essential oil. Go to sleep and wake up at the same time as much as you can, and try to hit that 10 o'clock hour, like Tracy said, for sleeping. Set your alarm. get up on the weekends at the same time. That is setting your circadian natural sleep cycle and your melatonin release. Go out into the sun for 20 minutes every morning right upon waking up. Get your tea, get your organic fair trade coffee, and find a really cozy spot out in the backyard and get that direct sunlight. No, you will not get skin cancer. You're going to get that good vitamin D, and you're going to also tell the body, okay, in 12 hours it'll be night time. You're setting your circadian cycle as you wake up. And go out into the sunlight.
Don't forget, I see we're running out of time. I want to make sure that we talk about EMFs because that's super important.
So turn those phones off when you're sleeping.
Turn them off or do not sleep in the room with any electronics on. Because the EMFs, the electromagnetic frequencies that are emitted from the phone, cause a lot of damage to the mitochondria and the DNA in the cells, and they keep your body from fully resting and rejuvenating at night. They suppress melatonin production. So you're not going to sleep as well, and your body is not going to be able to recover. So don't have your phone next to you. If you absolutely have to have it, put it on airplane mode. But better yet, at least 30 feet away. I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes think about what your Wi-Fi router, how far those EMFs go. Turn your router off at night, turn your phones off completely would be ideal, and move all electronics away from your bed.
And I've gone back to just an old-fashioned battery alarm clock.
Yes. Wow. This is great information. You know, of course, that last part with the taking the phone out of the room, I started.
I got real nervous.
I started quivering a little bit. I had some withdrawal stuff going on around that. You know, a little separation anxiety. Oh my gosh, folks! You are listening to Wellbeing Simplified here on the Synergy Radio Network. To reach out to Wellbeing Simplified, you will do so at 713-861-6777. Again, that's 713-861-6777, or simply go to wellbeingsimplified.com. This has been an amazing conversation. We're going to continue this conversation. I have some real key questions for you all, and we'll invite another guest on to add her 2 cents here in just a moment. Surprise guest, right? We'll be back in just a moment to continue this conversation with the R to the second power. And we are back. Welcome to the Natural Nation Network here on Synergy Radio. We have been speaking with Tracy and Heather of Wellbeing Simplified, and this is being sponsored by the Heights of Health, an amazing facility located in the Heights that provides a very comprehensive overview on health and solutions that don't involve the needles and some of the pills that cause those side effects.
That body, just really natural health solutions. The body's innate ability to heal is kind of our mantra.
Mind, body wellness.
I love that. That. And want to welcome back to the microphones Nazila Shigagi. Hi, Nazila. How are you?
Hi, Oscar. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Awesome. And for those folks who don't know, Nazila is a physician's assistant, and she works on the both sides of the health spectrum, right? Because you are dealing with what we would call the natural side and the allopathic side as well.
Well, I'm working more towards the realistic, acute, what do we do now side.
Yes. See, that's serious stuff. That's intensive care.
Yeah.
So one thing I've always said about Western medicine is that it really is important, and this is not by any means a attack on Western medicine. In fact, if you get into a serious accident, you need someone that's going to stabilize you, that's going to stop the bleeding. You're not trying to take vitamins for a broken leg right about now.
Belly breathe.
That's right. Belly breathe and then die. So you definitely have to have both. There's a peaceful coexistence.
Agreed.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. There's a space for both of them. There's a space for both of them. Definitely when Western medicine is very strong in acute illness, in acute stroke and heart attack and infections, that's when it really is the strongest. But when it comes to preventative medicine and primary care, wellness is where our weakest link in the medicine. Unfortunately, that's supposed to be the strongest, but it's not.
Yes, yes.
So that's where these two beautiful
And you.
ladies come.
Well, and you obviously as well.
Yes. So we were talking about sleep, and there's all kinds of thoughts around the importance of sleep that you all beautifully expressed. I'm curious about things related to. So you touched on this, but there was a utility. This is I should call this like Wellbeing after hours, right?
Yeah, right. We have the dimmed light, Oscar.
That's right.
I got toys.
So I'm really curious. What about dreams? What's the utility? What's the benefit of those dreams? I was curious when you said that, but I wanted us to get all the information in.
And that's a very good question. And I can tell you, I don't think scientists really understand what dreams are all about, except for what I was talking about earlier in terms of your body being able to kind of sort through important and unimportant information. And another thing to say about it is a lot of people say, I don't dream. Some of us remember dreams more than others.
Yes.
And some of us dream more frequently than others, but it's hard to find somebody that actually truly doesn't dream. It's just that you're not remembering it necessarily. As long as you're getting to the stage of sleep where you can dream, which I can fall asleep for 5 minutes and have a dream. But some people, for whatever reason, dream more vividly than others, and it doesn't mean you're more in touch with your spiritual life or anything like that. It's just that's the way your brain operates, and some people really need that cleansing. Remember, we're talking about release.
Yes.
We need that cleansing of excess information through the dream time, and it works out really well, although I'm sure you've had a dream where you've woken up and you're exhausted from the dream.
Oh, yes.
Because it's so emotionally taxing. So it can work both ways.
I like to think of dream as a form of therapy. We really operate out of that tip of the iceberg in our conscious mind. We walk around kind of with stories and programming. About 95% of what we do and how we react in life is from subconscious programming, which is about 95% of what's happening in the brain, in the mind, if you will. And so dreams allow you to get into that subconscious. This is why you dream about John Smith in the 4th grade. There's something that linked to that. It might not be John himself, but that happened in 4th grade that we need to process. And so like Tracy says, which is why we talked about sleep being a release. Dreams are a form of release in terms of being able to clean out that subconscious. So our dreams are so symbolic, and our subconscious talks in pictures, and it talks in subconscious nuances and in stories. And so sometimes we can't interpret it. There's whole science behind that, right? We won't even go there.
Yes.
But it really is that process that whether you understand it or not, it's that opportunity to release those subconscious blocks. We do a lot of daytime kinds of practices, like the emotional freedom techniques, which is really big right now. There's a summit going on, that tapping, which helps us tap into the subconscious and reprogram the nervous system. Tracy's developed one called mind-body release, MBR, which can help get into the subconscious. But dreaming's one that we don't really have to work at. It's kind of an automatic, God-given thing, to clean it out.
Yes. What I like about what you said, and you referenced it, Tracy, earlier in our conversation, is that it's also a way to dump unnecessary stuff.
Right.
It's like cleaning the computer trash bin out, at night. So that's pretty neat. Now, one of our listeners, LaDonna, asked this question just now. What about the dangers of Fitbits? Is there a danger to wearing a Fitbit at night? That's a good question, LaDonna. Thank you. And folks, if you have other questions, just give us a call.
Is it LaDonna?
Yes, LaDonna.
She read my mind because it was like I didn't want to go there, but it is an electronic device.
Yes.
It's very similar to the technology of a phone. If you're going to ask me, she asked our opinion, I would say let's not wear the Fitbit at night. Now, if you really need to have an electronic on you, put it in airplane mode, there are things called diodes, which you can get. We sell them in our clinic. You can get them online. Make sure you're getting a quality one, which help, and Tracy can probably speak a little bit to this, which help block the EMFs that are even coming out of
electricity sockets, the sockets that we plug lamps into.
Yes.
There's EMFs and electricity, dirty electricity coming out of those sockets. So putting a diode on anything in your bedroom that emits, including your Fitbit, if you're wed, diehard, I must wear it, see if you can adhere a diode, which will help block some of those negative EMFs.
Yes, that's great information.
There's a really interesting, I'm sorry, I was going to say there's a really interesting tool that you can probably buy on Amazon. We're someplace other than Amazon.
That's okay, free plug.
Someplace other than Amazon. It's called a Gauss meter, Gauss meter, and you can actually go around your bedroom and use it to measure the EMFs or the electricity coming out of certain pieces of electronic equipment. Like if you have your circuit breaker on the wall behind where you're sleeping, that is a huge emitter of EMFs, and you've got all this electricity around your body that is affecting you while you sleep. So you can figure out with this it's a scientific piece of equipment, Gauss meter, where the electricity is the highest in the room, and maybe adjust your bed so that you're not sleeping right next to it.
Oh wow, that gives feng shui a whole
I was going to
different-
say.
a whole different
It's
meaning.
very valuable.
So Nazila, this is a conversation that it's kind of interesting to me, but I've heard people in hospitals say they can't ever sleep because there's always stuff going on around them. Has that been your observation and experience in those?
Absolutely, absolutely. People in the hospital, especially ICUs, but anywhere in the hospital, never have a quality sleep. And you would think that's a place to rest, and heal and get better.
Well, yeah.
But it's not, because of the constant stimulation and alarms going off and staff still working, and sometimes it's as if during the day, because that's their daytime.
Yes.
At night, so they're talking and communicating, and all of that stimulation to the patients causes not ever being able to get that deep sleep. So we end up giving a lot of sleep aids. Sometimes help, sometimes doesn't, but unfortunately it is what it is.
You're
It's just
desperate to get sleep.
It's a lot of stimulation, and it affects their healing and recovery and ICU stay,
Absolutely.
hospital stay.
You just made me think of something,
Yeah.
because a lot of people think, I'll forget the lavender and whatever, I'll just take a sleeping pill. I'll just take a whatever
Right.
PM,
Right.
And studies have been done. This is really scary. And I'm not talking about instances like you're speaking of, because that is really important for that person to be able to sleep when they're in a hospital. But studies have been done on people who take for long periods of time sleep
Prescription
medications,
medications.
prescription medications, and even over-the-counter sleep medications. And those people have a 35% increase in certain kinds of cancers.
Wow.
You know how much extra sleep they're getting a night on average?
20 minutes.
13.
Wow.
13 minutes. And they fall asleep about 11 minutes faster.
And then
So-
you're hungover the next day.
And then you have the
Well,
hangover the
That's
next day.
exactly what I was going to point. When you
Yeah.
take an over-the-counter or prescription, even worse, prescription sleeping aid, none of them are actually help you sleep. Most of them are either hallucinogenic or they're sedatives, and they really don't make you go to sleep and go to REM sleep, and that's what you need.
Yep. And that makes sense.
Hallucinogenics.
Yeah.
My goodness, you're
Well,
like
I know.
Talk about
like-
dreams.
You're like, dude, did you see those purple polka dots, man?
John Smith in fourth grade.
That's right,
I tried
John.
to take an Ambien and get up 3 hours
Oh,
later.
Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, my goodness.
There's some scary
That-
stuff about sleepwalking
And
after
sleep
Ambien.
taking
That's
some of
Ambien.
those
Sleep
My
eating.
goodness.
Do you remember that?
So folks, you heard it here. Those sleeping pills are not the best thing for your body. So there's other natural alternatives. We've been talking about sleep. We're going to take a break. You're listening to the Natural Nation Network. We have Wellbeing Simplified in the house, and Nazila Shagagi, physician's assistant. We'll take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. And we are back. You're listening to the Natural Nation Network here on Synergy Radio 1480, 1540, 101.7, and 94.9 FM. We are talking about the importance of sleep. This has been an amazingly informative conversation. Folks, if you have a question, 832-230-5592. we may be able to slip one or two questions in while we have all this brilliance in the room. You know, my IQ went up a couple of notches just as soon as you all walked in.
You mean you took away some of mine?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I need all I can do.
Not at all. This has been amazing. I mean, you know, I start hearing words like telomeres and synaptic firings, and
Good.
you know, now all of a sudden, you know, I can walk in a room and pretend I'm smart. You know?
right.
So what's kind of interesting about this sleep conversation is just how much is tied into it. You mentioned something, Heather, earlier that I thought was fascinating about our three brains.
Yes.
Connected to our stomach, our heart, and our head.
Head brain.
How is sleep interacting with those three systems?
Good question. So let's go back to the sleep hygiene. We would be remiss. Nazila and I were having an off-camera, off-microphone conversation during the break about how she sends a list. She says, with her patients, if you can just do the sleep hygiene, it is a game changer. And it's habit. It's sleep habits. And so you can affect those with the three brains. And if you do it literally for just a couple weeks, you know, put the phone away, go to bed by 10 o'clock, try not to drink the caffeine or alcohol or too much sugar, you know, right before bed.
Breath meditation.
Make it part of your routine. You know, my head hits the pillow, I'm a captive audience. I might as well do an autogenic training session or some breath meditation. Here I am on my pillow in the present moment in my cozy bed. Breathe, be in that moment. Don't let your mind go. So let's work with the three brains. And so with that gut brain, we talked about that gut health. That's where our neurotransmitters are formed. So that's important for melatonin production. So take your probiotics. Eat your good fermented foods. Limit the carbs and the sugars. Really do some research on, and we'll go as we go forward, we'll talk more about gut health, and it's not the show for that, but nurture your microbiome. We are more bugs than we are human, okay? And we need to nurture the good bugs. With the heart health, let's go back to something that you and I talk about a whole lot, Oscar, when we talk on radio and off radio, and that is the electromagnetic fields that we can emit from our heart. And so we know that our heart is a second brain. It has 40,000 neurons. Neurocardiologists are studying this, and it's profound. There's international studies going on about how we can affect our environment and our health and crime rates, you know, by getting a group of like-minded people to practice heart coherence.
Yes.
And so part of heart coherence, you know, one of the things that I do with my meditation routine is I work on I start with breathing, and then I move into the heart coherence, that moving the breath in and out of the heart. So I think about where I'm going here. So I start with the gut breathing, then I move the air into my heart, the sensation of the air going in and out of the heart, and I practice feeling those good feelings. I am peaceful, I am calm, I am grateful, I am sleepy. Sleep is good. So all of these kind of calming feelings, reaching for the feeling, not the thought necessarily, but the feeling. And so when we come to Nazila and I were talking about this, when we come to the head health, the head brain, you know, part of that is making up your mind to change your habits. You know, once we make up our mind and we kind of get over our mental roadblocks, we've done the hard work. And so the mental roadblocks of putting our phone away. You know, it's like we don't believe in deprivation. We're Wellbeing Simplified, you know. We understand. But maybe just set a time for yourself. Maybe at 9:30 you kind of switch your routine. The phone goes off and you read an old-fashioned book. Or you make a chamomile tea and you sit in a very special spot in the house and pet the cat. You know, or you talk to your significant other. You know, it's like 9:30 is when I kind of go into my cozy wind down, let's say. I dim the lights in the house. So these are all making up your mind. This is the what we can do with that conscious mind of purposely engaging those sleep hygiene techniques we've talked about. The other thing is that rewiring of the brain. And so there's a lot of, if you're really struggling with intense, we would be remiss again if we didn't talk about people that really struggle with insomnia. You know, if you feel like your only recourse is a over-the-counter or prescription pill, there are other alternatives. You know, there's this idea of brainwave entrainment, where we can bring the brainwaves into synchronicity with slower brainwaves by exposing ourselves to sounds.
before we sleep through
White
brainwave.
noise and-
White noise, but there's actually program technology that if you
Binaural
listen
beats.
to binaural beats and
Yes.
isochronic, yes, exactly. And that if you listen to those throughout the day, but especially before bed, one that brings you into a delta and a theta state, that you will reprogram through that neuroplasticity, the brain waves. There's a tool I use in the clinic with my clients called the Alpha Stim, which is based off of cranial electrotherapy stimulation, which also brings the brain. It's micro pulses through the earlobes that affect the brain, that bring you into an alpha state during waking hours, encourage the release of serotonin and melatonin, and bring you naturally into the delta and the theta states at night. That's just another. So there's some high tech kind of tools that you can use that aren't overwhelming. And you know what? Sometimes just a good short-term dose of some amino acid therapy, or some mineral therapy, magnesium, Epsom salt baths, GABA and 5-HTP and tryptophan.
Wow. What do you think about magnesium sprays? Is that something you recommend? People that spray magnesium on their bodies and it absorbs?
I like it. You know what I don't like about it? I do like it. I have yet to find one. I have a magnesium cream that I really like that goes in like a lotion, but a lot of times the magnesium oils and sprays leave a residue
Yes.
that can be uncomfortable and also makes you sweat at night. It's almost like it creates a barrier. So if you can find one, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of magnesium sprays. Great for adults and children. We tend to be very deficient in magnesium. It's probably the number one or one of the top two mineral deficiencies in our society. It's just no longer in the food source like it should be, and we burn it up because we're under stress. And magnesium's the calming mineral, and that's Epsom salts are actually magnesium salts. So if you take a bath with Epsom salts, that actually infuses magnesium into the body, and that's why it relaxes the muscles, because magnesium relaxes.
I'm just going to touch on that
Yeah.
gut health as well for sleep. And as we talked about, gut being the second brain or the third brain, and heart being the second brain, most of these neurotransmitters that actually help you sleep, such as serotonin that produces,
Sorry, can you get a little
with melatonin. If you have a healthy gut, you're going to have a lot more of the neurotransmitters to help you sleep.
Yes.
So you take care of your gut, your sleep problems are going to start going away.
Right.
Yes.
80-90% of serotonin is produced in the gut, not the brain.
Right.
Oh.
Or dopamine or GABA or all of that.
Right.
So if you have a healthy gut, lots of stuff in your body is going to change, and one of those lots of things is just your sleep. Your
Nice.
sleep patterns
Thanks for
gonna-
pulling that together. Exactly. Well said.
Nice. I was going to
Absolutely.
say there's a catchy rhythm.
Right.
Take care of your gut and your rest will follow.
That's it. Work on that.
That's right. That didn't
Sleep
rhyme.
jingle.
That's right.
Sleep jingle.
That's right. We need some jingles. And one thing I was going to mention, and we're almost out of time, but I can't express the importance of getting away from those electromagnetic frequences. And when you walk on the beach, you notice how you have a great night's sleep,
Yes.
especially when you're away from your phone and all those what is it, negative ions
Yeah,
coming
the
through
ionic
your
charge.
feet, and it just
Absolutely.
recharges the body.
Yeah.
And I've seen research done on this where people just walk in grass and they've literally been able to
Yeah.
reduce like blood sugar and
Absolutely.
blood pressure. I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
It's
Research
So
grounding.
that's-
Yes.
Grounding.
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 That's
Grounding.
right.
Yeah,
Grounding.
We got our
have
sound
to-
technician.
And it
He's
has
going to come
be
on
barefoot.
next.
Yes.
It has to be barefoot.
Yes, it has to be
Yeah.
barefoot.
Yeah.
Barefoot.
So
Absolutely
Yeah.
barefoot.
that's
So when you do your 20 minutes in the sun in the morning, get those bare feet on that soil.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a great point.
Like kids do.
Wow. So, folks,
Yeah,
I hope
sure.
you've enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. I know I'm going to be implementing some new techniques so that I can get past this 4 to 5 hours that I
Yes.
tend to have every night. And, man, I'll really be dangerous if I
I
actually
know.
slept
Look at
8.
you. On fire. Superman.
Yes, all right, folks. You have been listening to Wellbeing Simplified. Want to thank Dr. Tracy and Heather for coming on. Wellbeing Simplified is being sponsored by the Heights of Health. And you can find out more at wellbeingsimplified.com or call 713 713-861-6777. Again, that's 713-861-6777. Want to thank Nazila, physician assistant, for coming on, giving us the medical perspective, even though she's got 1 foot into holistic.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're going to convert her completely
To be-
in just a few years.
She's already
she
there.
is there.
It's just a push. That's
There
all
you
I
go.
have. So thank you
That
for
is
having
awesome.
me here. I
Thank-
really enjoyed the show.
Thank you. Enjoyed it. All right, folks, be sure to tune in again next week, and we will be having the continued conversation of the second R in this amazing trifecta of
That's
health.